Yes.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for this opportunity. I am excited to moderate such an important panel, Disabled Persons Organization as 360 Facilitators. My name is Maia Bibileishvili. I am from Georgia, and I represent Georgian Disabled Persons Organization, Coalition for Independent Living, so-called SIL. SIL has been working with Project Zero for years to bring more and more people from Georgia to Zero and enables them such a wonderful experience and opportunities. The organization I represent is a cross-disability umbrella organization which brings together 21 other non-governmental organizations working on disability issues in various things, yes. And one of the most important areas of SIL's work is employment and promote employment of persons with disability. And lately, SIL has been working on the improving digital skills of our beneficiaries, as well as analyzing the opportunities and risks associated with AI with regards of employment. This event last year, I know, was dedicated to the inclusive education. Inclusive education is successful when knowledge is transforming to the employment. Employment is one of the most important human rights that enables people with disabilities self-independence, self-realization, and it is very important for all of us. I am positive that we will learn a lot from our colleagues. This experience will help us to implement new projects maybe in our countries. And I want to introduce you our speakers. We have five speakers, and from Zero Project. Edurne Alvarez Temon, it is from Argentina, one social group. Gaëlle Vitali-Derrien, 300% Handinamique, France. Mary Beshai, Director of Monitor Disability Canada, Canadian Association for Support Employment Canada. Omair Ahmad, Network of Organizations Working with People with Disability, Pakistan. Sylwia Daniłowska, Vice President, Director of Research and Development Department, Fundacja Aktywizacja, Poland. And our whole session will last only 75 minutes, and we have approximately 7-8 minutes for each presentation. After the presentation, you have asked any question, since we have approximately 15 minutes for the discussion and questions. So we can start. Our first speaker is Edurne Alvarez Temon. Yes?
Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. We are very near to the closely of this great conference, and it's a pleasure to be here. The first thing I would like to introduce you a little bit briefly who ONCE Social Group is. ONCE Social Group was created by the National Spanish Organization of the Blind. So we are the fourth employer in Spain. So you can imagine that we are a mix of civil society, because we are the organization of the blind who runs a social lottery. Then they created a foundation, which is ONCE Foundation, that works toward employment, training, and accessibility for persons with any kind of disability. And we have a group of companies that is called Union. This group of companies employs persons with and without disabilities, but because 35 years ago, nobody believed in Spain that employing persons with disability was profitable, that we could be a talent that was overlooked. So 4 years ago, we launched a project that's called Por Talento LATAM, that's why I'm here today. Please go on the next slide, which is run in 5 countries, in Colombia, Ecuador, Costa Rica, Uruguay, and Dominican Republic. The goal of this program is to try to boost the employability opportunities and of persons with disability in these countries. We do so by transferring our knowledge and our know-how, because we don't want to create a lot of new initiatives. We just want to build on what already exists in the country, but provide them our knowledge and experience so they can increase the opportunities of persons with disabilities. We found out that in many occasions we were completely overlooked. So the accessibility and other things weren't considered when launching employability programs or when trying to raise awareness. One thing, this program that is regional, it has 5 different approaches, because we do think that you have to take into account the local situation of everybody. So in Costa Rica, we had a combination. It's led by the government, by CONABDIS, that's the government, the committee of the persons with disability that belongs to the Labor Ministry. They lead the project, but we also have a very strategic relation with the private sector. Companies like HP, Dos Pinos, Grupo América, which are both Costa Rican and global companies, are the leaders of our network there. We have Ecuador, where it's run by a small NGO of persons with disability in collaboration with the private sector. We have Colombia, where we work with the social family funds, what they're called cajas de compensación. Uruguay by a social enterprise, or in Dominican Republic, where we work with the government and the UNPD, because we do think that there is not a unique solution for everybody, but there is a unique approach for everybody. The point is to thinking about the talent of persons with disability, not what all of our challenges are. When you have a profile, you need to think about, okay, what's the technical capacity, the personal skills, and the capacities that you need in your life. There are all kinds of persons that some are more independent than others, or you may need some kind of support. Not every person needs the same support, even though we have the same disability. So that's what we do, and we have 4 great pillars. Please go ahead. 4 great pillars in our program, which first of all is Odismed, where we try to highlight all the information regarding persons with disability and labor market, because sometimes we don't even know where are persons with disability and what's our knowledge or experience. That's important, so we work on public statistics. Then we have what is our training on our methodology, and also working with the platforms, employment platforms, to make them accessible and to include a chapter that allows to have the perfect match, not the perfect, but more match among job opportunities and job seekers. Because sometimes it's true that most companies will just tell, okay, I want a person who is blind for the call center. And you don't even consider if it's accessible or not, the software. I mean, there are many things that should be taken into account, but also that should go besides just a concrete disability and a concrete job opportunity. So that's something we work, and we have created Inserta networks or Por Talento networks all over these countries, which they have in the network great companies, small, medium enterprises, universities, sometimes the public government. We think that it's very important to have conversations, peer-to-peer, company to company, but also of the different actors. Sometimes we have lots of training opportunities that are not known even by persons with disability or by companies. So you have a university or a training center that's training people, and they don't know where they can find an opportunity. And you have companies that they don't even know where persons with disability are. So that's something that we do believe that's important to create allies. And we also work on communication. It's important to highlight the role of persons with disability in the world, and not only to highlight all our necessities and challenges, but also what we've been able to do without going for the superhero or the poor, only like a pity, but yes, we are a source of talent. So all of our work goes around the word talent, because that's something important. And to help companies not be so afraid, but also to encourage persons with disability to boost their employability, to seek for a job. One of the greatest challenges is the inactivity. There are too many people not even looking for a job because they have received too many no's, or nobody has even been able to tell them, you can find a job, but you should start working for that. So that's why we also work a lot in communication. And finally, we try, I don't know if you can move forward, but we have an expertise committee, which we have the ILO there, the Committee of Rights of Persons with Disabilities, CEPAL, different international organizations, which help us make sure that we're going through the good path and that the path is going correctly. And also giving us feedback in order to make as much changes as necessary. We have IDA there, that's the International Disability Alliance, because as we are here, TPOs, the voice of persons with disabilities is very relevant to have to count. And finally, I don't know if you can move the slide a little bit, but the last slide, if you want to be on the loop, we have our social networks, which you can follow us in Instagram or in Facebook. We do not have LinkedIn, but we also have a monthly newsletter that you can subscribe and you'll have all kind of news from these countries. Because it's true that it's led by UNCE Foundation with also the support of the IBD Lab, but really the real change is made in the countries and the project is of the countries. I mean, once this Por Talento finish, it's going to be run by them. That's something that it makes quite the difference. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Now we have explored situation in Argentina. Now, our next speaker is Mary Beshai from France. Yes?
Hello, my name is Mary Beshai. I'm actually from Canada.
Canada,
yes.
Sorry.
But I do speak French, and I live in
Yes.
Quebec, so I'm very happy to be here, and I'll be speaking in English today. So thank you so much for having us here today. I'm really excited to be part of this panel. So my name, once again, is Mary Beshai. I work at the Canadian Association for Supported Employment. I'll just describe myself. I'm a middle-aged woman with more wrinkles than I wish I had, unruly curly hair, thick glasses, and a passion for what I do. Next slide, please. So Mentorability Canada is an initiative of the Canadian Association for Supported Employment, which we'll call CASE as an acronym. CASE is a national body, a national organization that represents the supported employment sector in Canada. So supported employment in our context is providing the necessary supports and services to persons experiencing disability who are seeking meaningful, competitively paid work, and we provide all kinds of programming tools and supports to strengthen our network and to engage with our network. So we work and collaborate with our members who are employment service providers and career development specialists. We also engage with industry associations, employers, advocates, and persons experiencing disability as well. And we're pan-disability in our work. Next slide, please. So the project that we're here to talk about today is called Mentorability Canada. As a goal, it is there to promote the recruitment, the retention, and the advancement of persons experiencing disabilities in Canadian workplaces. On the map, you will see a map of Canada, and we're divided into 10 provinces and 3 territories. And on the map, you will witness little circles with lists of our partners. So while CASE manages and coordinates the initiative nationally, we work through partnership with implementing partners that we call hubs in each province and territory. And then in each province and territory, they work with the local network of other community-based organizations, service providers, employers, and others who want to engage in our project. One piece of our work is that while we have a national project, the context in every province and territory from a legislative and from a cultural perspective can be different. So the project is adapted to meet the local needs and the local context as well. I have some notes here, I'm just going to cheat a bit. Next slide, please. Oh, I did forget to mention on this slide. So we do, while we do work with employment service providers at that provincial and territorial level, we also do work with other national organizations to support us in building a bigger evidence base around workplace disability inclusion, or some specific facets, like how to increase our capacity as doing effective mentoring, or maybe we're seeking to understand one community better, like how are youth engaging with the workforce and the labor market. So on the next slide, yes, thank you. You'll see an image of a circle in the middle that says facilitate mentorships, and it's larger than the other 3 circles that are on this chart. That's because that's what we do. That's our passion, and that's the main place that we feel that we can have impacts. By facilitating mentorships between job seekers and employers in Canada, we feel that that experiential learning opportunity can lead to change in workplaces where we'll witness more inclusion. But that alone isn't sufficient to look at behavior change and capacity building. So we also do support networking and learning events where we try to encourage employers and service providers to convene and to learn from one another. We have campaigns where we're raising awareness about disability and workplace inclusion, the importance of it, and the resources and tools that ourselves and our member networks can offer. And we have research and evidence that we're sharing as well. Next slide, please. So every mentorship experience is unique. So one thing that is really important in our work is to tailor the experience to what the mentee wants to experience. So what is their career journey that they want to follow? What would they like to learn about? And what the mentor can offer. Once a pairing has happened, that pairing is intentionally kept very short, from 1 hour to 1 day in length. It can happen in person or virtually. And the benefit of doing virtual mentorships is that we can now match mentors and mentees from across the country. So if you have a very specific interest, which we sometimes get really unique interests, we can actually meet that need. And one reason that they're kept really intentionally short is so that we can make sure that we're not creating a barrier to engaging employers. Employers are happy to offer short periods of their time for their staff to participate in mentorships. Next slide, please. So the folks that are involved in a mentorship are threefold. There's the mentee who's going on a career exploration path, and they're going to benefit from that mentorship experience through confidence around their career journey, how to engage employers, and making a self-determination of the path that they want to follow. We have the mentors and the organizations that they work for who are learning more about disability, workplace inclusion, what they can do as an individual to make a real change. And also they're getting an expanded talent pipeline, as the slide is saying. And then the mentorship facilitators themselves play a key role. They are preparing the mentor and the mentee for that mentorship opportunity. One of the things that they're doing is also building a stronger, trusted relationship with the employer. It's a small ask to ask an employer to participate. It builds trust so that in the future, when that employer wants to hire, they might reach out to that community organization to reach a talent pool that they might have overlooked before. Next slide, please. So these are some of our outcomes and outputs. So the project started as a pilot project. I've got 20 seconds. And then grew into a national project. We have now reached 1,300. Actually, we're actually at 1,400 mentorships today. We have 170 mentorship facilitators across the country in over 400 communities, which is really exciting for us. Next slide, please. And really, there are many positive outcomes, and our goal is obviously to support career exploration and a career determination for the mentee, but we want to encourage behavior changes within the employers, and so this slide kind of gives one example of that. And I am out of time, but just to say we're continuing with this project. That's the next slide, is what we're doing next. We do have resources and tools at CASE that are complimentary free trainings that we believe that the network will continue, and we hope that this project will continue in full force in the future as well. Thank Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Marie. It was very interesting, really. I am interested, what about law? State law, does state law helps people with disabilities to find any job or employees, and maybe they encourage employees to give opportunities for people with disabilities?
Yes and no, because a law enough, I don't think, creates a culture where there's comfort and knowledge. So we do have federal laws and targets that are trying to be met, and within every province and territory, there can be different legislation. There's also like the carrot and the stick, right? So yes, there's a law you have to follow, but how do you actually encourage behavior change? How do you encourage the value that someone should afford to someone who is maybe overlooked in the traditional hiring processes? So that's where relationship building, connection, communication, I think, can give kind of the fuel and the desire to actually meet the legislative needs as one of the factors that could be required.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Omair Ahmad, Network of Organizations Working with Persons with Disabilities, Pakistan. Let's go, please.
Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here. I want to just describe myself very quickly before I describe the organization. I am about 175 centimeters with really curly hair that I share with Mary. And I'm wearing a gray suit with a maroon tie. And we are second-time awardees of the Zero Project. The first time we won in 2018 for our work on accessibility. And again, thank you so much for taking time out and being here for this session. Just a little bit about the organization that I work with, I'm affiliated with. It's called the Network of Organizations Working with Persons with Disabilities, Pakistan. We've been working for about 17 years for the inclusion of persons with disabilities. We work across 7 pillars. And next slide, please, if you don't mind. The work that we do focuses across all disabilities, across rural and urban Pakistan, and we do it through 7-pillar approach. From identity to independence of persons with disabilities is what we focus on. There are about 25 million plus persons with disabilities in Pakistan, as per the 15% statistic, but only 1% of them are recognized by the national census. So that makes our job a whole lot more difficult to identify and to provide the right services for them. Next slide, please. As I pointed out, the holistic inclusion, I think the word holistic was just mentioned in the previous session, should not be used, but I'm going to try and avoid that. So we are in an ecosystem of inclusion where a person who walks through our doors or comes through our doors who is a person with disability or a family member can avail any means of independence. We do it through providing them ID cards. A person with disability in Pakistan, it takes them about 6 months to secure the national identity of the country. We try to make this process into a one-day process by bringing all government departments together and adding benefits to that. The project that I'm here to talk about is the Center of Excellence for Financial Inclusion. Next slide, please. Just to give you some context, now PDP, as the acronym stands, has impacted over 100,000 persons with disabilities in Pakistan in the last 17 years. It's a drop in the bucket when you think about the larger population, but again, it's a work in progress and we're trying to create models of excellence. The Center of Excellence for Financial Inclusion started as a concept in 2013 when we approached the central bank of the country of Pakistan and asked them to make banking services accessible and their job employment inclusive of persons with disabilities. It was easier said than done. It took us about 7 years of lobbying to finally enshrine a policy where the State Bank of Pakistan, the central bank, wrote out a 26-page policy which we co-wrote for them, that made sure that persons with disabilities could open a bank account and also become gainfully employed by the banking sector. And to just manifest that policy, we created a Center of Excellence for Financial Inclusion across all the major cities of Pakistan, Karachi, Lahore, and Islamabad. The idea was, on one side, build the capacity of persons with disabilities. On the other side, build the capacity of the banking sector to include them as customers as well as employees. How we do that? We build the capacity of the banks through a 4-pronged approach. First, work on their policy framework. They're a human resource policy framework. Second, with a team of architects, look at their architecture and make reasonable accommodation requests. Third, sensitize their existing workplace and staff. And fourth, once they have architecture built, policy spelled out, then place persons with disabilities in those jobs. How do we build the capacity of persons with disabilities? By first giving them identity so they're recognized in the national census. Secondly, to do market-relevant skills development in urban and rural Pakistan. Thirdly, to focus on them having the right soft skills to access jobs that are available, and to provide them financial literacy so that they're no longer unbanked but become banked individuals with disabilities. We are trying to promulgate this model through a hub and spoke model, as we said. I think Ms. Flory from Microsoft highlighted the hub and spoke model earlier in the conference. We try to do that because we try to create these models of excellence that the government can emulate so they can scale those models up. So build the capacity of the employer, build the capacity of individuals with disabilities, and we have been doing this for the last 7 years. Next slide, please. Just to tell you a story, one of the stories, we have about 4 stories touching on each type of disability. Mariam Kausar was 19 years old when her retina got detached. Just to give you some context on where she lives in a place in Pakistan, in Karachi, in the largest city of Pakistan, above a buffalo herds place. The place thinks stench is overpowering, yet she changes 3 buses to get to a job which is with the largest utility service provider. She walked through our doors and we provided her the right skill set to be accessible for a job placement. That's one story. Next slide, please. What has been the impact to date? 6,000 plus persons with disabilities have been engaged across Pakistan in the manufacturing sector, in the financial services sector, in the fast-moving consumer goods sector, as well as the textile sector. Next slide, please. 3,000 persons with disabilities have been trained through our Centers of Excellence for Financial Inclusion across all disabilities. 7,000 employees of various consortiums and companies in 150 companies have been trained and sensitized, and 1,400 plus job opportunities created in the last 5 years only. This has been the quantitative impact, but like I said, the qualitative impact is also as significant. Next slide, please. Babar is another interesting story. When COVID hit, this gentleman who's physically impaired was very educated, highly educated, but had to start driving a rickshaw to support his livelihood. Master's qualified, driving a rickshaw, could not earn a livelihood. We got him a job at one of the largest supply chain companies, got him placed, and with his physical impairment, made the architecture accessible for that person. This is, again, a Center of Excellence for Financial Inclusion Success. Next slide, please. Kulsoom hails from the rural part of Pakistan. She's hearing and speech impaired. We have placed her in the largest manufacturing company of Pakistan and prepared that largest manufacturing company of Pakistan to absorb 5% quota of persons with disabilities as well. Last slide, please. Agnes is a person with physical impairment. We have created, through our Center of Excellence, a place where she could pursue her own business, and now she is earning a lot of money to support herself. She's not only a woman, but a woman from a minority in Pakistan and physically disabled. So she's managed to not only start a business, but sustain it through an excellent model. Last slide, one last thing I will just add on. What are we trying to do next? Next steps for us to make a standardized, certified model where all organizations that are working on persons with disabilities aspire to a singular standard. Everyone has their own methodology, their own approach. We feel in Pakistan, for 25 million persons with disabilities, there is a need for standardization so that all organizations aspire to the same standard. And if they can emulate that standard, then persons with disabilities can be contributing members of society who are economically empowered, innovative, dynamic. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. It was really very impressive. Can you tell a few words about maybe vocational education for people with disabilities? Okay.
I think that's an excellent point. One of the challenges that we initially faced was that white-collar jobs are very, very few in Pakistan, and education of persons with disabilities is at about 1 to 2%. So we had to pivot towards vocational and skills development, and the textile sector employs 10 million people in Pakistan. So that's where we have started to make the biggest inroads for employment of persons with disabilities, because foreign suppliers ask for diversity and inclusion quotients, and that's what we are lobbying, doing the carrot and stick approach to ensure that vocational skills in rural and urban Pakistan is pursued, but primarily in rural Pakistan.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Our next speaker is Sylwia Daniłowska
Thank you
from
very much.
Poland. Yes.
It's a great pleasure to be here and to present our support model. And please slide. Next slide, please. And I'd like to present our PAF project. Of course, the first stage of this PAF is recruitment. We recruit people with different kinds of disabilities from different regions, because we have 13 offices across our country, and we employ 170 experts, professionals, and so we have potential to scaling our services. And of course, the first very important phase of our project path is preparing holistic diagnosis for every participant of our projects. And we prepare for them individual development plans where we describe all services offered to them. And in our services catalog, we have career, legal, psychological counseling, different kinds of workshops, internships, and our unique methods. And one of them is job crafting. It's a very interesting service where we try to be supportive for person with disability and for employer. Because we truly believe that supporting both actors in this process is very important to build the bridge between person with disability and employer. Okay, so it's very important to us to increase and to implement this service. And what is important also that we offer this service before and after the employment. So because we know and we experience that supporting persons with disabilities after they found a job is very important, because the adaptation process is very crucial to build regular and stable employment for our clients. And the last but not least stage of the process is, of course, monitoring the career situation of our clients. We have regular research where we call every participant of our projects 3, 6, 9, 12, and 18 months after they found a job. And we try to recognize their situation, their needs, expectations, because we believe that it's our responsibility to be in touch with our clients after the job activation process, and it's about the quality of our services. So, next slide, please. Yeah, and some results, some numbers, indicators are very important. So, from 2019 to 2023, we supported over 14,000 persons with disabilities, and over 4,000 clients with disabilities found a job. And I think it's very important to add that on average 90% of our clients found a job on an inclusive open labor market. It's very important to us to promote this part of labor market because it's the most inclusive form of employment. Next slide, please. Okay, and now I'd like to describe some activities we take, and they're very important for us and for our country, I think. The first one is Incluvision Partnership. It is an informal network we created a few years ago to promote employment of people with disabilities and to create a space when we can discuss and we exchange experiences, good practices, and look for solutions, new programs, strategies to increase the employment rate of the persons with disabilities. And now in this network we have almost 50 different companies, public institutions and NGOs interested in this field. So I think it's a great success to build this kind of collaboration forms. Then the next slide. And now I'd like to describe one specific example of our cooperation with huge company, public company. It's called Poczta Polska. It is public company related with the postal services, and they employ over 60,000 employees in Poland. And we supported this employer to open for cooperation with people with disabilities, and we supported them to prepare the HR procedures, their management teams, and their teams to cooperate with our clients. And the main result of this cooperation is a huge number, because we supported 624 persons with disabilities who started a job in this company. So I think it's noteworthy cooperation with employer and NGO. The next slide, please. And this, the second network we created is informal network with NGOs supporting people with disabilities. And a few years ago, together with 28 NGOs from Poland, we created the space when we can cooperate with each other, get to know better, and boost our actions, our programs, and look for opportunities to develop our activity in this field. And we are very succeeded in many advocacy processes, which shows that where we are together, where we cooperate, we are able to be more efficient when it comes to advocacy processes and different programs related with employment and disability. Next slide, please. And one activity more is related with our engagement in research projects. A few years ago, due to very limited data relating the situation of persons with disabilities, we decided to start conducting research projects. And now we have several interesting reports and analyses concerned with accessible labor market, recruitment processes, good practices related with the hiring persons with disabilities, and what is very important, the role of NGOs and other service providers which are responsible for supporting this group. Okay, I see that my time is finished, but I have also a short video. Yeah, can we start? Okay.
Yes, we have time because we missed Ganesh.
That's great.
Yes.
So I'd like to invite you to watch the short video about our client.
The search on my own actually lasted for a year, and for that year, it was really hard for me. In June 2021, I just started working with the foundation, and from that moment, a little more began to happen. Definitely. Thanks to the cooperation with Foundation, it was managed to arrange a 3-month internship. And finally, after such a year, you can say of making some extra money. An offer actually popped up from OLX, which Ms. Renata presented to me from a rehabilitation clinic in Lodz. So without delay, I actually went there for a meeting, and after a very successful interview, I was hired for a trial period. But I'm really counting on a kind of permanent cooperation. First of all, my psyche has improved, my confidence. The work has given me a great deal of benefit, such mental benefits above all. Although I do not hide the fact that the financial aspect also did a big job here, because it gave me strong independence, which allowed me to actively develop, in fact, and I did not have to rely on the income of other family members. In fact, I could only count on myself if I managed to move to Lodz and for the first time I am actually renting an apartment. This is really the final brick when it comes to this self-reliance. So in fact, here everything is going well. All that I wanted, all that I planned for myself, I managed to achieve.
Thank you. Now we can, if any question, we can listen. We have one speaker.
Yeah, please don't leave the French out of the revolution.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, I'm the French speaker from the association 100% Handinamique.
Yes. Gaëlle? No.
Yeah, it is I. My name is Gaëlle
Yes,
Vitali-Derrien.
Gaëlle Vitali-Derrien, yes. 300% Handinamique.
It's only
for
100%
France.
Handinamique,
Yes,
actually.
okay. I missed this in the first. Okay, sorry.
Okay, so we also prepared a deck of slides. If you have them, you showed them at the beginning, I think. Yeah, thank you. So my name is Gaëlle Vitali-Derrien. I'm the first vice president of 100% Handinamique. I'm here with the president, Thomas, over there. You can recognize us with an amazing blue shirt with an embroidery of the name of our association. I am otherwise a white woman with blonde hair. And today I will be presenting our solution, which is a 360-degree support for access to employment for young persons with disabilities. Can you go to the next slide, please? So first, a couple words about who we are. What is this association, 100% Handinamique? We are a youth-led DPO, especially focusing on the youth issues, so persons between 15 and 35 years old, and mainly through peer helping with a really strong help of the popular education side. We are a unique association because we are multi-disability. We welcome everyone. And we are national in France with also regional implementation. Every year, employment-wise, we will help more than 300 young persons with disabilities with a full-time permanent staff and volunteers. We are also a sustainable association thanks to mixed fundings from the public and the private sectors. Next slide, please. So now that you know a little bit more about us, I will present our solution for professional integration. So this solution was initiated by young persons with a strong bottom-up implementation, and it works thanks to two axes. So the first one is a complete approach to the professional integration of the young person. This approach works through 4 steps that are inform, prepare, train, and connect. So this is the first key to our success. And the second one is that through all of these steps, we have a tailored program. We are centered on the individual because I remind you that we welcome any type of disability. And we have a close follow-up of the young persons and their journey to employment. So I will describe all of these steps and give you some key features to illustrate and also to give you some ideas on how to implement a solution in your country or in your association. Next slide, please. So the first step is inform, to inform the young person on the job market. So this step is realized through personalized coaching session, personalized in terms of disability, academic degree, social origin, etc., and also national events during which we raise awareness. A key action is our coaching sessions that we organize during employment salon. For example, each year we have more than 350 one-to-one coaching sessions. Next slide, please. So now that the young person is informed about the job market, we have to prepare them. And the preparation mainly goes through mentoring. We have mentoring between peers or by professionals from the private sector, because we have private sector's partners to our association. One of our key actions here is that we created a platform for mentoring in 2020, and since then we could help more than 150 young persons with disabilities. Next slide, please. So now we have to train the person because they have all of the theoretical knowledge, but they really have to face what it is in the field. And so we have to train our young person with disabilities. This goes through internships or webinars, but another person needs to be trained also. It's the employer. And as I mentioned, we have private sector partners. And we have a strong follow-up of our partners, as well as training for themselves too. One of our key actions here is internships. So in Europe, we have the European Week for the employment of persons with disabilities, and during this week, there's an internship, one-day internship. And we popularized that. We created this one-day internship through the year for our population. Next slide, please. So finally, the young person with disability is fully prepared for the job market. They only need network and connection. And we can propose that. We are organizing employment salon that I was talking about at the beginning. So the person can be trained and coached beforehand, and then they can meet employers that are eager to reach for new talents. These forums allow the young person with disability to create their network and for the employers to find talents, because each of them, they do not really have access to the other person otherwise. Each year, we have more than 240 young persons with disability on our salons, and we are really trying to get more. Next slide, please. So I hope that through this 4 steps approach, you got some ideas of stuff to implement at your level. Keep in mind that all of these steps, all of these actions, they are part of a global peer helping environment. And the key is to have something that is really tailored for the person and that is also alive. The action is changing through time. It needs to be adapted. Finally, I really hope that this inspired you. And if needed, we are available for questions. You can see us with our amazing shirts, I remind you, and you can also join us through email or through our social media. Thank you very much.
I have a question. What kind of disability do you work? Do you have beneficiaries for intellectual disabilities as well? Intellectual disabilities?
So yes, we really are welcoming to any type of disability. But I would say that our the major part of our beneficiaries have either some cognitive or motor impairment, but we are really trying to make programs and events that are 100% inclusive. It's not something that we achieve, but it's something that we are really looking for.
Thank you very much. If any question from, okay, please.
Yeah, I think this is a question to whoever want to answer. I work as an employment consultant in Sweden. In a Swedish context, there are significant geographical differences in the labor market. So for many individuals, it could be more job opportunities in other parts of the country. Does anyone of you have experience from helping persons with disabilities with relocation?
Sorry, moving my chair here. Maybe I'll start with the mentoring side of it, and then we could maybe go into the employment side. Canada's a vast country with like a low population at the bottom border with the US, and then rural towns and cities around. And so we also face very different labor market conditions within our provinces and territories, as well as within different communities. One thing we have found is since COVID, some professions and some sectors are actually open to remote work, which can maybe provide some different opportunities for job seekers if that's a good match for their interests and their skill set, and the company is open to it. So that is one way where that remote connection can happen. I didn't have a chance to share one of our stories, but we do have a video, and I can talk to you afterwards, about one mentor who actually was very interested in the insurance domain, and he wanted to move out of his small town where there was a very limited labor market. He managed to, after a mentorship, secure the confidence in a job and connections to get a job in a larger city. And then with building that confidence and capacity, later he was actually able to get full-time work back in his community because he needed to actually move away and get those supports. So in supported employment, there was an organization and individuals that were there to support that transition over to a remote work environment. And then he was really fortunate to be able to go back to his home community, and he's working full-time right now in his chosen domain. So I think that there are examples like that where you might have to leave to follow the work, or in his case, he really wanted to leave home and have that experience as a young man living outside of his community.
If I can add on that matter, especially on the mentoring side. So when we created our platform, it was during COVID, and it was especially to overcome all of these issues with the localization. And now, since our mentoring program is fully remote, then we can create some new dynamics between people that could not have met otherwise. And this peer helping really gives new insights to the person that has issues with the localization, because they can meet persons that have succeeded in going through these issues, maybe with the same type of disability or with the same type of degree. So that's what I was saying when I said we adapt the program. Is if one person has a typical issue, we will try to find someone with a similar issue and try to connect them so they can help out each other.
Anybody, are you satisfied? Any questions? Any other questions? Mm-hmm. Okay. I want to ask you about, again, legislation in Georgia. In 2020, we were able to advocate for the changes in the legislation and offering short-term courses for people with disabilities and creating an individual career development plan and subsidizing internship and job secured by employment. However, law so far has not so effective in changing situation of persons with disabilities, and we need more projects and more courage maybe for our employers to works well. What about law in your countries? Can you say about that a few words? It would be very interesting for me, and I think with our audience as well.
I can present some information about our country. The law and the practice are different situations, because we have law, and according to many regulations, service providers are public and non-public, and NGOs, of course, are non-public service providers. And in the practice, NGOs are the best and I think that the most efficient service providers when it comes to job activation of people with disabilities. But now our government is working on the changes in I think that the main law related with the labor market to open public services to be more efficient when it comes to supporting people with disabilities and to create the solutions, the tools to invite people with disabilities who are unemployed, very far from the labor market. But the data we have are not so optimistic when it comes to the role of the public service employment because the numbers are not so high. And very often in our practice we see that when somebody with disability comes to public institution to get help in entering the labor market, the answer is, okay, we know NGOs which are able to help you. So it's the address, the phone, so call them and ask for the help. So we are very, very, very interested in this change and we are looking for it because we observe many funds and many funds are focused now on public services employment and they are related with this change. So let's see, but now the practice is, the practice looks like that NGOs without any systematic resources are the main actor responsible for supporting this group. So it's our reality.
So some countries have a punitive mechanisms and some have the intensive mechanism, which works well. I don't know. We maybe can listen from you.
I think just to add on to that, I think in Pakistan, particularly in our context, I was just talking to someone from other countries, I think India, Egypt, it's very similar situation. So what we have done is we've sort of created a shadow organization for the government, where a lot of the things that the government does, we are doing ourselves, but on a smaller scale, so that they can take the best practices and emulate them as well. The laws are there, but the implementation and the governance laws, or governance of laws is very weak. So what our biggest challenge is to scale the challenges. The laws are very clear, but the rules of business on those laws still need to be spelled out clearly. So I think that's a big challenge that we face right now, but I think we are overcoming it steadily by emulating certain examples that the government can then take up.
Thank you very much. Gaëlle.
Yeah, thank you. We have something similar in France. It's a national consultative organ for persons with disabilities, and it covers basically every aspect of the life of the person with disabilities. And so this consultative council will follow with attention the law, will give some insights, and will produce documents to help in the legislation, because it's in strong collaboration with the inter-ministry agency for persons with disabilities. And so this council is divided into groups on different themes, and each theme will work with DPOs or other types of organization to give a precise input on what is the field point of view on the law, on the decisions, etc., on what needs to be precised and what needs to be changed.
Thank you. Thank you, maybe.
In our case, we work in 5 different countries. Each of the countries has completely different legislation. I mean, Ecuador has a quota system, which is 4% of the workforce. Workforce can be a person with a disability or a familiar of a person with a disability, which is completely different from other countries. But in Colombia, you don't have quota system, but you have a system that protects persons with disability for being laid off from a company. But sometimes that's also companies think, okay, so I cannot employ a person because I would never be able to lay it off, which at the end is not really true. If he or she doesn't do the correct work, not regarding the disability, of course they can be laid off. But what we found out is that many companies are not even aware of the subsidies or the incentive that the governments provide. In Dominican Republic, we've run several sessions just to make companies aware that if they employ a young person with disability, they would get an extra subsidy. And most time that's not even known, because government has lots of ways of spreading this information, but if it comes from the government, sometimes you don't really read it so much. So we work a lot in making people aware of that, and also persons with disability, of making them aware that they can raise their hand and get their certificate. So the ball starts rolling. At the end of the day, as I was saying at the beginning, our project is regional, but the approach is different in each country with the same rule always. We just try to focus on the talent and put on the table the different parts that each country has and the actors, and also those initiatives that may not be as known as they should, which in the case of certain incentives of the governments, sometimes we should make more people and companies aware, and also we work with their labor ministries to make their employment services more accessible in terms of accessibility of the web page, but especially of the persons who work at the labor offices, because we need to include that technical personal profile, but also the capacity. When you are speaking about what a person can or cannot do, or what assistive technology or what kind of support he or she may need, but also when you get a job position, it's not the same job position in one case or the other, even though it's the same labor. Okay, you may be an officer, but an officer in what kind of office? Can you get there with public transportation? Not. How accessible the building is? Can you have homework, or can you work from home, which could be for remote areas? Or there are many more things that are especially significant when you are a person with disability. You have to be standing up 5 hours, 7 hours. This kind of work, we do it a lot so that they get better and more inclusive public services.
Mary, would you like to add something about it?
Yeah, we already talked a little bit about it, but maybe I'll take it a little bit of a different angle, if that's okay. So, we do have legislative and different government incentives in Canada as well to encourage employment of persons experiencing disabilities, and there can be attractive to companies for hiring. So when we look at larger Canadian companies, some that come under federal rule, there's targets, and there's a lot of work happening in those organizations to be able to hire more inclusively. So they have employee resource groups, you have leaders that are involved, you have some of the makings of a culture which is actually open to inclusion, but not always, right? And so I think that's where our sector can come in and help support those organizations around culture change and support them in what their intentions are to make their intentions a reality. We also know that small, medium enterprises, small mom and pop shops, that's actually where you can get a lot of turn, and they're not necessarily guided by the same legislative requirements, or they're enacting them in a different way. So I think there's a lot of opportunity there to bring in individuals, train, support the organization in meeting its, and understanding how to hire inclusively. Mentorship and other activities can build that culture. And then when you get an organization in a community that's doing well and others witness that organization doing well, there's a crowding in where other organizations will follow and start to hire inclusively as well. So I think it's by making those type of demonstrations. And we witness sometimes bad behaviors around incentives. So companies that are given incentives will hire inclusively while the incentive is in place. And the minute the incentive, if it's time bound, you can hire for 1 year, 6 months. When that time period leaves, some companies won't continue keeping the individual employed. So I think the incentive might be good, but there has to be also, I think, work done with that organization to understand the value of keeping the individual that you've hiring, even if there's no incentive in place.
Thank you. It was very interesting, really. And I have one question as well. How you think about artificial intellect? Does it help people with disabilities to employ, or it is a risk, maybe, for people? What are you thinking about? Interesting.
So I'll quickly answer that because I have the most limited knowledge, not at all, about this. For us, we have used it as a supplementary training mechanism, not as a full-time training mechanism. So whatever we are training people on, we are also adding an element of AI training on that, chat GPT and so on and so forth. But it's not become that mainstream in at least our part of the world to do it, but we feel it will happen soon. So particularly for the deaf community, we have brought it quickly, and that's where the English language barrier is being crossed because there the most job opportunities require English language writing. So AI is bridging that gap for us, but it's a supplemental skill, not a full-time focus area, and that's a learning that we're still developing.
Thank you.
I think I've heard the term AI basically every hour during this conference. And for persons with disabilities, as well as for basically everyone, AI is a tool that needs to be mastered, and it is not easy to use. And I think it's a key to really teach people how to use it to their benefits. And especially in our organization, our beneficiaries are young, so they don't really understand how it can help them and how they may not use it.
And you are working with young people, yes? And,
yeah. And so for younger people, it's sometimes hard to really detangle what is useful and what is just a waste of time. So it's a very great tool, but we need to really help people get their hand into the AI and what they can do with it, especially the younger generation, because in our generation we've grown up with tech, and sometimes it's hard to really understand how everything comes together in the employment world. And if you use way too much AI, then it becomes visible, and it's to the detriment of your reputation, I may say.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Sylwia, please.
Yeah, I think that it's important to recognize that AI is also impact on our job as a service provider, because we know and we observe that in many HR processes, AI is more and more important. So many companies use it to analyze CVs, application documents. So we try to adapt and to be more flexible to new circumstances on labor market. So when you are responsible for effective supporting of our clients, we should be professional when it comes to using AI, also in our job, in our services, because it could be helpful, but it could be very, very huge problem for us when we don't analyze the changes on the labor market related with the AI, yes, because it could be also helpful tool for our counseling job, for example, and supporting. So we can't avoid this subject, but learn and teach our clients to do in a proper way.
Please, Mary. Okay.
I think that I'm not really an expert on AI, but I think that we taking their words, it's not even not avoiding. We should embrace it, because at the end of the day, if organizations of persons with disability, we don't know about what AI is, which it happens too frequently, we are also going to lose the loop. So we must be there, understand how it works, how to make it inclusive, to not build new barriers, and also how to make an opportunity of being able to use it. Like, I think that that's important. There are too many things going on, and sometimes we lose that point, and we cannot get there at the last ones.
Thank you, Mary.
Yeah, I think I agree with
your opinion.
Yes,
is important as well.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I agree with what has been talked about, and I think it's that understanding the role. It is there already. AI is being used in the recruitment process, both from the hiring managers as well as the applicants themselves. That training that was talked about is really important of how to use it effectively. I was actually recently at a conference where one concern that got brought up around the HR processes were when applicants are using AI to develop their application proposal, and there's maybe a different expectation of who you're interviewing and what, like maybe the language capacity is. And so maybe working with employers to understand its use. As a bilingual country that speaks English and French predominantly across the country, and other languages as well, but we're using AI in our systems, like in our meetings, we're using the back end of AI to have translations happening so that people can communicate. So it can be a very powerful tool for inclusion, but I think, yeah, we have to learn more about it and adapt.
Thank you. We have 3 minutes left. We all agree today's session was very productive and fruitful for us. I hope we will deepen our network and can to continue work actively with our beneficiaries in our countries with mutual support. Thank you for all. Let's go in next session. Thank you. Maybe one picture.